Tonight, the small boats crisis just took a radical turn, and it's coming from the hard left. Meet Zack Polanski, the Green Party leader, who's just gone to Calais. He's also one of the most delusional politicians in British history, because he's not gone to Calais to stop the boats, not to confront people smugglers, like Patrick Christie's did, but to roll out the welcome mat. Polanski's solution is let the boats come. Come en masse, wave them in. Let them come to Britain legally, he says. All of them. And then put them straight to work the moment they arrive. No deterrence, no borders first policy, no serious plan to stop the crossings, just wide open doors and hope for the best. Showing he's a deeply unserious man, Polanski says all illegal migrants should be allowed to work in care homes, the NHS, and even build houses. So what's he talking about here? What is that? I don't know about you, but I don't want a random bloke from God knows where, whose background we're unsure of, looking after my mother or granny in a hospital or care home, or even building a house for that matter. What qualifications do they have to build houses? How do we find out and check they have them? Would you live in a house built by a boatload of small boat migrants from Afghanistan? No, I didn't think so. Anyway, Polanski's been masquerading around France, but do you remember what happened last time GB News went to Calais?
My name's Patrick, I do a show at GB News. Hello, I just want to talk about how you get from here to the lorry parks. Is that possible? Quick conversation now? Fine? Okay. All right, we are going to get out of here. They've obviously made their feelings clear. There we are. Yeah. All right, they've decided to kick off a little bit. Okay. All right. Hey, look, we just want to have a conversation with you, that's all.
Still so good. Top work there by Patrick Christie's. Of course, this channel, GB News, we were attacked by the same people we're told will integrate once they arrive to Britain. The same people Polanski says we should be welcoming to the UK.
The Prime Minister might call this an island of strangers. When Farage says jump, Labour might say how high. But the Greens will never dance to the tune of a Trump-loving, tax-avoiding, science-denying, NHS dismantling corporate stooge.
Polanski says the real problem isn't illegal migration at all. He says it's racism. Yes, you at home, you bigots. In fact, he claims the entire small boats debate is driven by racist rhetoric, lumping Nigel Farage, Reform UK, and now even Keir Starmer, laughably, all into the same bracket. So this is the direction of the modern left in 2025. Borders are racist, enforcement is cruelty, and national sovereignty is optional. They also want to decriminalise all drugs too. Heroin, crack cocaine, the lot. They want to abolish landlords as well. And having spent months in Washington, DC, I can tell you exactly how that agenda would land here. It wouldn't.
This video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect yourself this Christmas with one of the best VPNs out there. Cybercriminals are out to get your bank account information while you do your Christmas shopping online. But you can protect your privacy, money, and identity now with ExpressVPN for as little as 8 pence a day. Click the link now to claim up to 75% off.
Well, let's speak to the former deputy leader now of the Green Party, Shara Ali. Mr. Ali, good evening. Thank you for your company. What did you make of Zack Polanski's trip to Calais today? Are you supportive of his ambitions?
Well, thanks for having me, Ben. As deputy leader, I actually visited the so-called jungle in Calais 10 years ago. And I have to say, although my views have somewhat developed, I was even very suspicious then around the motivations of those who were crossing the channel, predominantly male, of course, of fighting age. And they were, as far as I was concerned, economic migrants. They were not fleeing persecution. And it is not the case. I mean, I care deeply about the future of the Green Party. I wouldn't regard Zack's positioning here as left worthy of the name. It's certainly not egalitarian. It's not the case, for example, then that the Greens have been outspoken around the rape of predominantly white girls and sexual assaults upon them by hotel migrants in Epping. So we are not standing up for the persecuted in British of this country, and that has to stop.
Shara, you sound like a pretty sensible guy. You, of course, were the deputy leader of the Green Party. Are you still a member of the Green Party?
Not at the moment. In fact, court case number 2 to get back into the party after having been excommunicated for my gender-critical beliefs, but that's another topic.
Oh, right. So they kicked you out, did they, for being for thinking normal things?
Well, the trouble is with the Green Party at the moment is it's not a debating space. And I put it to you that the vast majority of Green Party members, even the newer ones, would be would find the current statements of Zack Polanski quite abhorrent, because what we're essentially doing is saying that unvetted, completely unidentified boat migrants in particular. We've had over 50,000 irregular migrant flows just in the first 2/3 of 2025, 90% of which came by small boats. Now, anybody with an ounce of sense knows that it's a danger to the indigenous so-called population of this country. Even our own deputy leader, somewhat embarrassingly, admitted the risk to her own residents in Crowborough. I'm talking about Rachel Miller, deputy leader, when she was worried about the impact upon the local community of them being put in an army barracks. So that's the real common sense position. Even true Greens do not want unvented, unidentified potential criminals in their backyard.
Okay, Shara, you say this, and lots of our viewers would agree with you, but I mean, I would suggest, I'd argue the Green Party have gone completely off track. I don't even know what their position is on environmental matters anymore, whether they are the Green Party. In fact, when I lived in Brighton some years ago, the Green Run Council there, it was the only Green Run Council in the country at the time, they had the worst recycling rates in Europe, so I don't know what that says. But Zack Polanski is doing very well in the polls, Shara. I think 17-18% ahead of Labour in some polls, so I guess he's doing something, right? Somebody's listening to him.
He is undoubtedly, and I'm familiar with him when I was in the party. He is an effective communicator, and he is galvanising opinion. But unfortunately, every time he faces a hostile interview, I know he won't appear on your channel, he will refuse to actually debate facts and statistics and the reality on the ground. And the reality on the ground is such that if we're thinking about migration, this is a huge topic, and it's probably going to be the issue that decides the fate of the next general election, including the Greens. They cannot simply carry on with their head in the sand, denying the racism which is being perpetrated by migrants, illegal migrants, Afghans, raping white, predominantly white women. And also we have the crisis of the Pakistani child rape grooming gangs. The Green politicians at the moment, Moti Ali is another, is denying the connection between that and failed multiculturalist policies. We need to get a grip, and we are not going to become a leading party for very much longer once the electorate start asking those questions.
Okay, yeah, maybe they've been smoking too much of that crack that they want to legalise. Let me bring my panel here in DC, former spokesperson for Barack Obama, Federico De Jesus, and the political consultant and commentator Thomas Corbett-Dillon. Good evening, chaps, welcome along. Thomas, as the sort of Brit-American here, where does Zack Polanski, I mean, where do you envision these migrants will go? If they're allowed into the UK, they're allowed to work here, we've got a housing waiting list of 1.4 million. He says we shouldn't be keeping them in army barracks or temporary accommodation. So where the hell do they go? Any ideas?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, that previous guest, who's still on here, you might have me voting for the Green Party if you were in charge of some of those statements. I can't believe they've drifted so far from where you were when they were there. But, you know, it is so interesting because even Democrats in the US are not calling for open borders. They know that is not a winning issue. So the fact that he's willing to go out there and say every illegal person on a boat should cross is kind of crazy. I actually do think there's a little bit more of a sinister reason behind some of these things. I think the Green Party, they know they don't have much chance at becoming Prime Minister and winning enough seats. But what they're doing, they're making the Labour Party look centrist. They're making people think, oh, well, look, they're the crazy leftist ones. The Labour Party are the centrist. They're not. The Labour Party are extremely far left as well. So I think there's something weird going on here. I really don't like that we're giving him so much coverage.
Yeah, well, I guess the same could be argued for Reform. I mean, they're polling very well, so I guess you've got to give time to it. I mean, I also think, Federico, I don't know what your thoughts are on the Green Party and indeed your knowledge of the Green Party in the UK, but what's your take on the premise that we should house and allow illegal migrants to work? Would you want that here in the United States?
Well, nothing should be unlimited, and each country should establish their own border security policies and determining humanitarian outcomes as well as economic outcomes. But obviously, no country will allow unlimited immigration. That's not even humane. That's just not common sense.
Yeah. Okay. Shara, when is your appeal being heard to get back into the Green Party? So they've booted you out for being too based. When are you being heard at your appeal?
Well, it's full steam ahead. I mean, we're very much in the throes of litigation. So, yes, we've filed our reply to their defence, and it looks like they want to go to court. So the Green Party, unfortunately... Just
quickly, why do you want to rejoin the Green Party? Why don't you just go and join Reform or the Tories? Sorry to interrupt.
Well, look, I do think that environmentalism, the climate calamity, has a future in politics, and that's what we need to be focusing on. But moreover, we need to get back to a rational, persuasive politics. And I've never been tribal about politics. I speak and discuss with people across the board. I would be very happy to meet and discuss with Farage. I'm not the kind of person who wants to no platform people, because guess what? You cannot have a proper functioning liberal democracy without viewpoint diversity. And the more we narrow the kinds of people in our party to those who only agree with us, the less we're going to be able to appeal to and persuade those who disagree with us. And it basically shows a complete lack of confidence in our position, that we don't think we can argue and persuade others to our position. And maybe we're wrong. So I'm not infallibilist in that regard. And I think that's a very dangerous authoritarian position. So this is not the Green Party that I was once very active in, but I do think it can be saved.
Yeah, and also people like Polanski and Just Stop Oil, Extinction Rebellion, what they do is they put people off any kind of environmentalism topic, i.e. very justified topics, plastics in the water, the state of the oceans, looking after our waterways, because their positions on other topics are just so absurd that people look at them and think, I'm not listening to anything you say, even if you do have a genuine, decent argument on the environment and, you know, looking after our seas. Shara, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll catch up soon. Thank you for staying up.
You're welcome. Cheers.
Right.